Norway, a country that has exported electricity and replaced Russia as the new savior of Europe, is raking in billions in profits without even joining them. But this dance with the EU has a dark side, manipulating Norway into playing by their devious rules. Joining the EEA in 1994 was supposed to be a win-win, but now it feels like a lose-lose. Europe's regulations are starting to feel like a tight leash, especially on energy and environmental issues. This has sparked debates across public opinion and government circles, questioning whether staying or leaving is right. With potential pitfalls ahead, and Europe's nagging rules becoming a trouble that puts pressure on their economy, one thing has become certain: Norway will always refuse the European Union. The 1960s marked a big change for Norway, discovering huge oil and gas reserves in the North Sea. This wasn't just luck. It transformed them from a country focused on fishing, shipping, and farming into a powerhouse of oil wealth. Norway reached a crucial decision point as Europe grew closer to the European Economic Community. In 1972 and 1994, Norwegians voted not to join the European Union. Why? The wealth from under the sea, oil, was too valuable to share under EU rules. So they took a different, smart path. Instead of joining the EU, Norway became a part of the European Economic Area in 1994. The EEA allows countries to be a part of the EU's single market without being full EU members. This deal lets them access the single market. Think of it as being able to trade and interact freely with EU countries without following all the EU rules. It's like having a VIP pass to the party but skipping the line. And yes, Norway chips in financially, contributing billions to help reduce social and economic disparities. It's their way of saying, we're not in the club, but we still care. However, things got complicated. This choice tangled Norway and the EU in knots that were too tough to untie, creating a complex relationship. Now they stand at a crossroads, their futures intertwined yet uncertain. Will they cut through the knots or pull them further apart? With a GDP per capita of around 73,470 euros, Norwegians are living better compared to the EU average of about 33,000 to 35,000 euros. Now, this isn't just about wealth. It's about the quality of life and the country's ability to care for its people without needing a financial leg up from anyone else. As Europe's leading oil producer and the world's third largest natural gas exporter, Norway has capitalized on its resources remarkably. By 2022, they engaged in significant trade, importing 62.4 billion euros in goods from the EU and exporting 80.8 billion euros. Contributing about 20 to 25% of the EU's natural gas, it's their vital energy partner, especially when their pipelines are exported to the EU and the UK, surpassing 120 billion cubic meters. This makes them a neighboring country and an indispensable ally in the energy sector. Norway values its autonomy, notably in its fishing sector, a vital part of its culture and economy, demonstrated by a 1.15 billion euro income just in January. Through the EEA agreement with the EU, it retains control over its agricultural and fisheries policies. This approach, coupled with the strategic use of the government pension fund Global, which holds over 1.4 trillion euros from oil revenues, enables it to ensure financial stability and the benefit of society. At first glance, Norway's agreement seems promising, but there's a deeper issue at hand, exemplified by the Norwegians. Over a 10-year survey, 70% opposed joining the European Union, highlighting their strong desire for self-governance, particularly over their valuable natural resources. Regional power dynamics also contribute to their hesitation. You see, their political power isn't solely concentrated in the capital. The regions also have a say. This distinct political setup, balancing the center and the periphery, plays a vital role in their view of EU membership. Norwegians cherish this regional perspective, ensuring that rural areas receive equitable public services alongside cities. So what is the government's stance if the people don't want the EU? It's a controversial political challenge. The largest center-left party, the Labour Party, leans towards the EU, but its fate relies on left-leaning parties firmly opposing entry. On the right, a similar challenge persists. Despite the leading right-wing party's pro-EU stance, its essential allies reject membership. This complex political situation creates a tug-of-war where their membership isn't just a matter of debate. It's a complex interplay influenced by regional politics, labor dynamics, and the pursuit of political consensus. The truth is that Europe relies on them more than is often acknowledged. But this doesn't grant Norway the decision-making power in this relationship. When you decide to play chess with the EU, there's a catch. Always play by their rules. This situation has become complicated, where every move is a careful step to avoid checkmate. Today, Norway faces a significant challenge, balancing its crucial energy business and water treatment against Europe's strict requirements. This balance has backfired, putting pressure on their industries and leading to long-term chaos. The EU's manipulative and all-too-common tactics resemble an unspoken threat, offering a hand only to take your whole arm in return. This dynamic leaves Norway in a precarious position. Will they manage to align Europe's demands with their quest for independence by leaving the EEA and escape this economic threat? The European energy market tactic used to be seen as a beacon of hope, but now it's more like a tangled mess. It all started with good intentions. They wanted to cap electricity prices to protect regular folks like you and me. But then they privatized everything, thinking competition will sort it all out. Sounds good, right? Well, not exactly. Even though the highest bidder wins, everyone pays the same price. It's like a game where the rules are rigged against us. These energy companies make a ton of money while we're left scratching our heads. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, the government steps in with price caps and subsidies. They say it's to help us, but guess who benefits? Yep, you guessed it, the same big energy companies that were already making a fortune. So while we're struggling to pay our bills, they're laughing all the way to the bank. It's a real-life David versus Goliath story, and right now, Goliath is winning. At the center of this storm is another villain in Norway's story, ACER, the Agency for the Cooperation of Energy Regulators. They act as the puppet master, pulling the strings on the European energy stage, dictating rules that make the whole continent dance to the same tune. Their mission? To weave together a single energy market across Europe, blending electricity and gas into one harmonious flow. But Norway, with its treasure trove of clean, green energy, finds itself caught in ACER's net, its energy prices fluctuating on the demands and decisions made far beyond its snowy peaks. Now, why does ACER get the side-eye from the Norwegians? Well, imagine watching your homegrown, sparkling hydro energy get tangled up in a web of European rules, making your electricity bill more unpredictable than spring weather in Oslo. ACER envisions a Europe where energy flows freely, pushing for competition and connectivity. Noble, sure, but when Norway's prices spike because someone in another country flicked on more lights, it's hard not to see ACER as the bad guy in the room. Despite Europe's push for more energy exports and ACER's vigilant oversight, Norway faces another significant challenge: its heavy reliance on hydroelectricity, which accounts for 88% of its energy supply. While this source is environmentally friendly, it's at the mercy of nature's unpredictability, particularly rainfall and snowmelt patterns. Previously, their hydro plants ran smoothly, especially in months like August, when reservoirs were nearly full. However, climate change has disrupted this harmony, with reservoirs lagging at only 68% capacity due to erratic weather conditions. In August 2022, they saw record-breaking electricity prices at 246 euros per megawatt hour. Such fluctuations pose challenges for budgeting, leaving many Norwegians feeling the squeeze in their wallets. By January 2024, the average wholesale electricity price remained high to approximately 64.66 euros per megawatt hour, which is above other EU countries' average. Looking ahead, things aren't getting any easier. By 2030, we're looking at power prices jumping to 68 euros per megawatt hour, thanks to climbing gas and carbon prices, plus selling more energy abroad. With a big energy surplus shrinking fast, they might even have to buy electricity from their neighbors soon. That means a lot of wild swings in electricity prices, making things tricky for everyone, from families trying to pay the bills to the politicians making the big decisions. There's no easy way out without a wound when you look at things. In the quest for solutions to soaring energy costs, Norway is wrestling with new ideas, like implementing different price tags on the electricity it consumes domestically versus what it exports. On paper, this strategy seems straightforward. Sell the energy abroad at a premium while keeping local prices affordable. But the reality is far more complex. The infrastructure for energy exchange, those energy roads crisscrossing borders, is like a dense thicket, making straightforward paths elusive. These energy pathways are not just about cables and grids. They're entangled in a maze of international regulations, agreements, and commitments to ensure a stable and continuous energy supply across Europe. Norway wants to keep things fair for its citizens, shielding them from the crazy price jumps that can happen when the world market goes on a roller coaster. However, this can cause chaos in other EU countries. Why? It's like changing the rules of a game halfway through, and not everyone will be happy about it. Then, the EU will label it unfair to other countries and call upon their friend Acer to halt all of this. Now, this has led to heated debates among political parties, and even one of Norway's top labor unions voted for the country to part ways with the EU Energy Union, bidding farewell to Acer's watchful eye. This situation is filled with twists and turns, where they must decide just how much it's willing to play by Europe's rules in this high-stakes energy game. As Norway tackles energy hurdles, it confronts another major challenge: meeting new wastewater rules. These directives demand better sewage treatment in cities, affecting towns nationwide. Before, only places with over 2,000 residents had to follow these rules, but now, those with over 1,000 people must comply. This means upgrades to sewage systems are needed by 2035, adding to Norway's financial responsibilities as an EEA member. So what's the big win here? We're talking about major environmental victories, like getting our water cleaner and ready for reuse. Super important where it's dry as a bone. They have a plan to clean our water and use more clean energy. By 2040, they want to use 70% clean energy, and by 2045, go to 100%. Big companies in beauty and medicine will help pay for the cleanup because it's fair that those who pollute should also help to fix it. However, even this has its own hurdles. More communities need to level up their wastewater game, increasing costs for municipalities and households. But with Norway's rich hydropower resources and a push towards renewables, hitting those green energy targets might be within reach despite the new demands and costs. Before we finish today, let's briefly look at the pros and cons from a neutral viewpoint. Being in the EEA gives Norway access to Europe's markets, which is vital for its export-driven economy and allows it to engage in high-level research and political stability. However, Norway must follow EU rules without having any say in making them, which is frustrating. On top of that, they contribute a significant amount of money to the EU, which could be spent on local projects. Norway stands at a crossroads: fully commit to the EU or step away from the EEA to emerge as one of the world's leading economic powers. Now, this decision has a potential to alter the course of history. But where do you stand? Stay updated on this evolving story by hitting the subscribe button. Together, we'll explore many countries' economic futures, influencing the conversation one click at a time.